Hey, everybody. Evan Kirstel here today with a super exciting chat with Workato. We're going to talk AI, integration, automation, all kinds of topics. Carter, how are you?
I'm great, Evan, and thank you for having us on your talk today. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to it.
Likewise. And you have a really illustrious career in tech in Silicon Valley. I think you're the role of CIO. Maybe introduce yourself and your work at Workato.
Yeah, sure, Evan. Yes, I've been blessed to be the center of Silicon Valley since the mid to early '90s, and been fortunate enough to go through some great companies, great logos, all in IT, all B2B tech companies. And I came over to Workato about 3 years ago. I came as a former customer of Workato
Oh,
because
wow.
I'm passionate about the integration and automation space. So I came here and I run what we call business technology at Workato. It's applications automation. It's employee technical employee experience of the company. But I also get a neat role here is that I get to talk to a lot of customers and partners and about how CIOs and how Workato uses Workato internally.
That is fantastic. We need to rebrand the CIO role, maybe CBT officer. Well, that doesn't sound too good with. But
CBT.
anyway, I think you have some amazing insights to share. And before that, maybe give us a bit of the origin story on Workato, how the team got started, what was originally the gap you were looking to fill.
Yeah, it's a really neat story, Evan. And I actually I've seen it from the sidelines. I integration, I mean, with the blossoming of apps and platforms back in the '90s. Our founding group of founders actually came from Tibco, and they actually
Mm,
built the first integration engine for high volume banks on Wall Street. And it's
wow.
a very complex set of integrations. They needed it to scale the banking industry. So our founders built Tibco. They worked there for 10 years. They did the same thing. They built Oracle's SOA platform. And then they went on to do a consumer product. And they took all these learnings from complex integration and building a beautiful consumer product with a UI, a beautiful UI, and they combined that and built Workato about 9 years ago. And Workato's is built to really democratize automation in the business, and that's what I saw. I saw this from the sidelines. I was using some of our competitors' products where I had to hire a team of developers to
Mm.
build integrations across an application tech stack. And when I saw Workato 6 years ago, my light bulbs went off and said, "Wow, these guys had no enterprise automation, enterprise at scale automation and integration, and I don't need a team of developers anymore. I can actually give this to my business analysts and my team and to the business to automate their business processes that they know better." So that's the gist. That's the foundation of why we're here, and we have the great team built it from scratch 10 years ago, and it's completely serverless and all in the cloud.
Fantastic. And I love the philosophy of looking for simplicity and complexity. You know, your claim to fame is making automation easy, which is a nice marketing speak, but that actually isn't easy. So how do you simplify that in real life, or IRL, as the kids say, for such
Yeah,
complex business processes like companies, Fortune
yeah.
500s, et cetera?
Yeah, in order to do some of these integrations in the past, some of the products in our space, you need to set up physical servers. You need a set of developers
Mm.
to actually build connectors to applications, and then you actually need to write code to build the integration, logic between these applications. But with our product and our low code um, interface, you can easily set up connectors between applications. We actually have some AI behind the scenes from our customers and our millions of integrations they've already built. We actually help the builder build the integration because of what we see our other customers doing. So we're really simplifying the connection of the applications, right? And then when you're actually building the workflow or the process automation, we call them recipes internally. It's a set of instructions you have that build your integration between um, applications or in your automation. We make that really easy for a business user to take fields from various applications and do some transformation and and connections to other applications. So we make that very simple, and I've seen that with many of our customers. I've seen internally where business technologists inside the business can automate their own business processes with our application with very little training.
Wow, that's impressive. And you kind of have some integration magic under the hood. Your special sauce supports over 1,000 integrations with different apps. So how do incorporate new integrations, and what's the process for kind of this juggernaut you built?
Yeah, so thank you. We have these connectors. We've actually over 1,500 of them for
Oh, okay.
applications, and we're building them every day. And it's based
Mm,
really on the priority of what our customers are asking for. So if you have a modern cloud tech stack and you want to connect and do process automation across a modern cloud architecture, we are the default vendor because those connectors make it so easy. And how are those connectors created? Is most modern cloud applications kind of built on APIs, and
mhm.
the UI is kind of built on top of it. And those APIs are very well documented. And what we're actually starting to do now is we're building with AI and with LLM, we can ingest that API documentation, actually build a Workato connector within hours and days. So it's really kind of neat. And if there's an application we don't have a connector for, we can very easily build it by ingesting the documentation, or we have a set of developers too that are building connectors for our businesses, our customers all the time.
Fantastic. You have lots of blue chip logos, customers on your website. Do you have any success stories that come to mind you want to share? I guess you love all your children equally, but there must
Yeah,
be a few great stories there as well.
yeah, I love that. I love that. And when I get asked this a lot, and I could talk about like how we save hours on order to cash with
Mm,
customers like HubSpot, and
mm,
but I love the human interest stories. And the one that I love talking about is down in New South Wales, Australia. There's a part of the government is helping farmers. They've had a lot of drought. They've had a lot of fires. Just like I live in the West Coast, they've had a lot of issues there with the weather. These farmers who need help, and it took them 2 weeks to get checks when like a fire or a drought um, went through their farm. And with Workato, they were able to take that 2 weeks and reduce it to a matter of hours, because it basically
wow.
went from email and faxing to set up a form on a website for the farmers. That form was ingested in Workato, and then the whole process, the process I just went through, took 2 weeks to do the approval on the application and get the money from the bank and put in their ERP. That all was reduced from weeks to hours. And so I was talking to the CIO there, and he said, Carter, your application made a difference of a farmer building a fence to keep his cattle in. So that 2 weeks difference. So those are the kind of interest stories that I find fascinating. How even non-technical companies and non-technical people are building automations to improve people's lives. Those are the fun stories I like to share. Like I got several
Oh, that's
other ones,
brilliant.
but I can talk about order to cash, reducing time by weeks to hours. So yeah, I got a lot more if you want to keep going there.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. You have a big user group event this week, I understand. So that must be a good opportunity for customers to come together and share stories and anecdotes as
Yeah,
well.
thanks, Evan. Yeah, you're right. We're super excited. We have our Automate conference here in Mountain View. That's where I am right now. Wednesday and Thursday this week. We have, I think, over 1,200, maybe 1,500 folks coming in from throughout the world, coming in to share their stories, share their automation journey. We're talking about some really cool items on our roadmap that we'll be sharing with the group. So we have the Automate User Conference, and we're going to take it on the road in the fall. And then we also have our user group, our systematic user group too, where we have thousands of business technologists in a community sharing ideas, and not just in a physical community, but also we have community recipes too. Over 70% of our automations built on Workato are taken and copied from that community of recipes. There's thousands of them out there, and they actually take there and then actually build on top of it. So we're trying to create a community of recipes, integration, and automation best practices inside the application, so people can take and use. But yes, it all starts with the Automate conference we do once a year, this time of year, and this time we're so fortunate to have it in person this year in Mountain View this week.
Fantastic. Well, have fun. So explain how it makes, it easier for users, these recipes, to create their own workflows. When I think recipe, I think cooking. I'm a terrible chef, but I imagine I could build a workflow a little easier than I could, bake a cake or something in the kitchen.
Yeah, Evan, and I see it every day here internally, and I see it with our customers. The way the folks, and they're actually sitting out here, right here, they're in town for our Automate. The UX folks actually built the interface. And if you're thinking through a business process, and you really got to think of this kind of a mindset we talk about here, this automation mindset. If you need to get from point A to point B, you don't really think of the steps you got to do, but you think of like, what data do I need to get to point B, right? Where do I need to go, and what data do I need to get there, right? If you think about that kind of process mindset, we call it, or a data mindset too, people like me and you, business technologists, especially the younger group of folks who are coming out into the workforce now, have been living in technology their entire lives. They can easily adopt a tool like Workato to help the business with automation. And it's one of those things where when I get on phone calls with my peers at our companies, CIOs of companies, I said, you just got to see it. Once you see how to build an automation, how to build a process, how to build a recipe, you kind of get it. And a lot of thought's been going into that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Talk a little bit about scaling up, because you deal with some very large customers with high requirements for reliability, availability. What's your secret there to supporting the enterprise?
Yeah. So again, like I said before, we were built by the team who built TIBCO. They know enterprise scalability. They know enterprise integration. We're built from the ground up with that in mind, with the idea of governance and security and scalability. So all that complexity is baked into the product. So we take the simplicity out. How do we scale? We do that with some logic inside Amazon that spins up and spins down resources when we need it. We also build a lot of intelligence into the product too. As you're building these recipes, these process automations, it actually walks you through how to make the recipe more efficient, so it can help the customer scale, and also helps make sure we keep our resources intact and online. So it's really the foundation was built up from the ground up like that.
Yeah, best practices, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So it seems like the community and marketplace is a big differentiator for you, that whole ecosystem you've built. But it is a competitive space. I was looking at the Gartner Magic Quadrant. You're up there in the upper right, which is great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How do you see the competition and the competitive dynamics, without naming anyone in particular?
Yeah.
How do you stand out from those close competitors?
Yeah, thank you. No, we were the moved way up ahead to the right last year in both Gartner and Forrester's
right
quadrants and studies. We stayed up because we look at both integration and automation together. We're not just a point-to-point integration platform, but we really talk about process automation with integration, and also be able to give a tool like an integration tool like ours to the business to actually do their own automation in a very simple, low-code way. And that's where Gartner actually put us ahead this year of many of the other people in our space. And I come from experience. I've used the people right below us and other companies. They're great products, but I couldn't move as fast as I can now with Workato.
Well, that is impressive indeed. It wouldn't be a tech chat if we didn't incorporate some AI or Gen AI perspective there. And I'm sure you have lots on your roadmap, but do you see AI creating, its own workflows for you based on your needs as a user? Or what other scenarios are you envisioning there?
Yeah, no, we're going to talk about this on Wednesday in our keynote. Gotham and our head of product and VJ, our CEO, are going to talk about some of these. Yes, you got it. It's really, we're taking low code and actually moving the bar lower. So if you are a
Lower
business
code. I love
user,
it.
lower code, yeah. And if you want to integrate a couple an application, you want to integrate, uh, do a process between several applications, they'll actually start building the recipe for you and give you that template based on all the other information we have about all of our other customers. That's one competitive advantage we have is we can say we were completely serverless. We have all the intelligence, all that data on how people are connecting all these applications already. And we're going to use Gen AI to help you build that recipe. So that's number one. Number two is we talked about connectors, right? If you have an application, maybe a homegrown application, maybe behind a firewall, right? And you need to build a connector for it, and the API is documented. We can actually ingest that documentation and build a connector with AI. That's where we're going with that. And then with our third thing, with our Workbot GPT, the idea is that you can use any LLM, whatever there is. It could be an accounts receivable LLM. It could be something like OpenAI. You can actually use that as a kind of a digital brain within your process to get information. So think about, we do a lot of like order to cash integrations, right? And it's just kind of moving data, checking data, doing some transformations, and then you have an end result. But imagine if you had like a digital brain, like an LLM in the middle of it, right? And you're feeding it information to keep the process going in a smart way. For example, we're starting to hook up an LLM to look at the value of a deal, right? It takes in maybe a credit score of a customer. It takes in what was priced and what's it going to cost. It takes in maybe some of the public information about a company that we're going to go to business with, and it gives it a score because it's a digital brain. Instead of having an analyst think about it, we feed it to an LLM. So think about a process hooked to a digital brain, and the process keeps moving on. So it's some exciting things. I'm super excited. I don't think you can do AI without automation. And I truly believe that, because AI, it's a fantastic tool. We're all familiar with the Chat GPT interface in a browser, but really it's a set of APIs that you can actually integrate into your current business processes. And that's the super exciting thing that we can help our businesses, our customers with.
Wow, that's incredible. So I am a business of one plus some support staff, but really not your target market. But I do use automation tools quite a bit. Things like Apple, the shortcuts, and if then. Have you thought about going into the SME or SMB business, or even practitioners individually?
Yeah, we kind of started there, like every startup, and I was pre my time, but yeah, it was definitely small businesses. I think one of our first customers was a church.
Oh, wow.
So, and a team of two, and she's still a customer today. We talk about her quite a bit.
Oh, that's great.
As she scaled her church, we helped her scale our business. We started in SMB and commercials. We call it the commercial space, the bigger companies. But really, since we have a lot of great traction now, and we're built for enterprise, we're slowly finding great uptick in big enterprise, large companies that are moving from legacy applications into the cloud, whether it be in iPaaS or SaaS companies, and they want a modern architecture. So that's where we're finding some amazing traction as these bigger companies are really thinking about integration, automation with AI. They're coming to us now, and it's fun to have those conversations with those CIOs as they're moving from even like the TIPCos where our founders built. They all have older applications. So it's we definitely, to answer your question, we are from SMB all the way to enterprise.
Oh, that's great. That's good to know.
Yeah.
We'll give it a try. So what's next for you? Any travel? You obviously got your head down this week with customers. Lots of events coming up in the fall. We're all back together in person again. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, you got it. You mentioned travel. So we're taking our Automate user conference this week on the road. And yes, I'll be going to Singapore, Israel, Tel Aviv, London, to help kind of talk about the message. So they have me do the keynote that VJ and Gotham are doing. I'm actually going to be giving that in Europe. So I'm going to be a close study this week on the keynote. So, and it's after practicing IT for 30 years and the bowels IT for 30 years, it's kind of fun to talk about my personal journey Workatos, our customer's journey, and again, how we can use automation, plug in with AI is all part of the discussion we get to talk about in the next several months. So I'm looking forward to that.
Fantastic. I noticed your Vijay, your CEO founder, grew up in a really rural part of India. And is that right? His father was in mining, and the idea for, automating processes came from watching his father do a job in the mines.
You got it. I'm surprised, Evan. That's really neat. You picked that up. I've heard him tell that story personally, and I tell him that he needs to tell the story more. Yes, you're absolutely right. And
Amazing.
the reason why, but also the other part of the story is the reason why he wanted to kind of make integration simple is to give technology to people who can't afford it.
Mm.
And it really is. He built the company, him and Gotham and the team built the company to be able to give technology to people who don't have the means to do it. And that's what the whole low code, no code idea came out of. Is how Vijay grew up.
Fantastic story. Well,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to your posts and tweets at the event next week. And thanks for taking the time away to share your vision and insights. Much appreciated. And thanks everyone for watching. Reach out to
Thank you,
Carter
everybody.
and to Workato on social media. I'm sure they'll answer any questions you might have. All right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Evan.
Carter.
Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Have a good week.